Alright, muri yeZimbabwe kusangana kwatiri kuita zvakare ipo pano pazimu news update apo patinoda kupa first hand update anogari kuitika munyika yedu yeZimbabwe. So ndiri kuenda ndakatibatanidze maupdate akati siyanei pano kuti ndikuzivise zvimwe zvezvinhu zvanga zviri kuitika mukati menyika yedu yeZimbabwe. Pano tinge tichianalyza nhauwa dzezvematongerwo enyika dzisingakwanise kubuda mumawiresi nematelevision nemastate medias asi zvichitoitika. So tiri kuona panapa hazvina kumira zvakanaka kuState House apo patiri kuona President Emerson Mnangagwa kurunzi kwakaitika zvinhu zvisikanzwisisiki nezuro apo patiri kuona iwo waifungidzirawo kutoti kuwakomana wekuCIO kune zviri kuitika kune vatori go against President Emerson Mnangagwa ndosaka muri kuona vakarowa mareshuffles kuCIO ikoko. So tiri kuona kuti kuna vakomana vanenge vaine full information yezvinhu zviri kuitika. Ndofunga muri kuona paya pakabuda President Emerson ndobo kudzosera kumashure bhicha namunyase kuona kuti zvinenge zviri kuitika zvese kune vanenge vari kubuditsa information because tiri kuona kuti President Emerson Mnangagwa wakabuda pakati peusiku vachienda kuBelarus paya nemafambiro waita vakaenda vakanodzika muEgypt because hakuna ndege yakaenda, hawana kuenda nendege straight kuBelarus, vakadzikira muEgypt then vobva vazotora imwe yakabva muEgypt ichienda kuBelarus. Zvese izvozvo information yacho yese yakabuda muri yeZimbabwe nemafambiro vanga vari kuita kuratidza kuti pane vanhu vavanofamba navo ivavo maCIO kusanganisira nemilitary pane vanhu vanotobudisa information muri yeZimbabwe ndosaka muri kuona vasingachatrust kuCIO. So kuri kunzi paState House pane zvakaitika zvisina kumira zvakanaka, information yacho haisati yanyasa kubuditswa chaizvo ndosaka muri kuona President Emerson Mnangagwa nowadays vari kunzi vari kugara kuborodeo paState House vari kutotya kupagara nezvakaitika ipapo. So tichipinda mudzimwe nhau muri yeZimbabwe ndofunga muri kuona takaisa nhau haya Vanyatsimba Mutota kune vasingavazive murwi yehondo yerusununguko vanonzi Comrade Nyatsimba Mutota ndiwo vevamwe mavoveterani vari kuopposa Constitutional Amendment Bill number 3 although rakasainwa zvaro tiri kuona kuti varamba vachienderera mberi. Ndiwo maactivist vari kufambisa nhaurwa dzemusi wa31 July. Tiri kuona panapa mushure mekunge vari kufambisa mapepa vanga vari kufambisa vakashayikwa pakaita mbiri yekutoti Wanyatsimba Mutota vari kushayikwa then after takazonzwa kuti nezuro manheru Wanyatsimba Mutota vakasungwa nenhaurwa yekuti vanga vari kufambisa mapepa vanga vachifambisa ivavo chinova chiricho chiratidzo chinoratidza kuti zvinhu hazvina kumira zvakanaka. Apo vhidhiyo retiri kuona paskirini apa ndiVice President Constantino Chiwenga vainge vari kuRoma vachitora zvipo vachiita sei zviri kunzi nevanhu Vice President Constantino Chiwenga nyika dzino Chiwenga munhu waMwari chaiye tinotenda amemini Baloi Chiwenga vakaratidza Vice President Constantino Chiwenga gwara rekuziva Mwari. So
it means you perpetually, whether you are born 1973, 2005 or yesterday or tomorrow, hold your status, not the time that we are born. It's time to elevate ourselves here. Let's not think of like children anymore.
Right. No. I think that's a clear point. That
guys. I mean, I don't know now. More for you, like point there is what is. If you take something to a public, consultation, then that public consultation is, if it is finished, right, we are consulting on the substance of the bill as it is presented to the public.
Right.
And then the bill after that goes to Parliament. And it goes to Parliament. It is gazetted, goes to Parliament, public consultations, and then we go back, to Parliament. Right, we look at what is coming from the public, and then there's a first reading of the bill, the second reading of the bill, etc. So, are we saying if there are any other amendments? Yes, if there are any other amendments that are added in Parliament or Senate that were not in the gazetted bill, this should have gone back to the people of Zimbabwe. And does our constitution require this to happen?
But Uncle, if these people in a normal function, they were supposed to have two bills, two separate referendums. They're already
No. Before we go to there,
No, I'm understanding what you're saying, but all I'm saying
Yeah.
is, if they have the unction to even do that, get it to pass, doctor, the submissions and everything that they did in this whole process, it's not far-fetched for them to make changes to sneak it in, because remember, they've done the whole process. Now all they're needing to do is make tiny little tweaks so that they've passed. Remember, they've just passed the bill. But who's going to question that? Because remember, all along, you've not come against it really. You've gone to court. But remember, they own the court, even to the degree where in this new law that they've passed, they've inserted the fact that they are creating a new law and you didn't even have an opportunity to
Exactly. So
decide for
yeah.
that.
So now this is where my question is arising, is coming in. Koti, when they took this bill for public consultations after its gazetting etc, the 90 days, because from what I was made to understand, or what I believe to be the norm in terms of a constitutional amendment. One, there has to be a public notice, there has to be public debate, there has to be transparency, there has to be input that comes from different players, including the civic society, and then we go to the aspect of ensuring that there's parliamentary accountability. So what this then does is the MPs, they do not only debate what is in the bill, but they are debating what the public is actually seeing. And it, Saka, if a clause gets added that is not gazetted, if a clause is added later during a committee stage, right, like what we witnessed we had that Emerson Mnangagwa calling parliamentarians that had gone on recess to come back. So if these things do happen, is it not proper to say, Kuti, maybe this thing could have been taken back to the people? Because under section 328, which speaks to that requirement of taking the bill to the people, and if things are added which the people have not seen, does that not say, Kuti, everything that then happened after that, it means, Kuti, the bill that was before Parliament was not the bill that was introduced to the people, and therefore it was not properly introduced under Section 328.
No, uncles. No. Sorry, uncles, you made a mistake. Let's be methodological about this,
Right.
please.
No, but I want to understand. And I'm
Yes.
asking questions. I'm not saying what I'm saying is the right thing, but I'm asking questions.
No. Your questions are correct.
So that I understand.
Yes, let's go step by step. Yeah. So if you want to touch the bill, if you want to touch the Constitution of Zimbabwe, and you want to change the Constitution of Zimbabwe, you are directed by Section 328, yes?
Yes.
Okay. So you go to Section 328, you say, I want to touch the section of Zimbabwe, the Constitution of Zimbabwe. The doorway is Section 328. Huh? Okay. Then Section 328 asks you a question. It asks you a question. Which part of the Constitution do you want to touch?
Yes.
Yes. So you have to say which part.
Is it ordinary or it is constitutional?
No. Is it which part of the Constitution of Zimbabwe do you want to touch?
Right.
And you say, I want to touch this section, this section, this section, this section. Section 328 then gives you a pathway on how to touch that.
Right.
Okay. Now, a bill is drafted, yes? And then when a bill is drafted, before it is gazetted, right? We understand the draft.
Right.
Yes? And in the draft, there are sections that are touched. Yes? Okay. So we go through the sections of each bill, yes? We say this one is ordinary. This one is ordinary. This one is ordinary. This one is ordinary. What are we looking for? We're looking for the unordinary, the extraordinary.
The constitutional.
Right? The extraordinaries.
Yes.
Because everything is constitutional.
All right, okay. No, I hear you.
Yes.
But what I was trying, to understand is, Kuti, there are ordinary bills that the parliament can debate without, asking us. And then there are
Yes.
constitutional amendments that require our input.
No,
So,
yes, yeah, this is why I'm correcting to say everything is correct, is constitutional.
all right, okay.
But they are extra constitutional things, extra constitutional.
All right.
Meaning that we go through the draft and touch on, okay, this one is found in that section, that section, that section. What are we looking for? Here we're looking for three things. We're looking for chapter 4 and chapter 16 and term limit provision.
Mm-hmm.
Any bill that has a term limit provision turns around and has to go through any bill that has a term limit provision. It does not matter that you've got clauses that are 50. As long as you've got one clause that has a term limit provision, the pathway of that bill is different now. Because it's not an ordinary constitutional bill anymore. It is an extra one. Because it requires a pathway that is different. This is why I touched on 3 pathways. If this bill did not have a term limit provision, there will be nothing wrong with this bill. Parliament will pass it and then will turn around and cry. But it is because this bill touches basic structure that makes this bill a totally different thing. This is why all the clauses on this bill are useless. All the clauses are useless.
Right. Zeti, can I understand this? I need to understand this. If I'm looking at the original, I've got the original, in front of me, right now. The original has got clauses that are numbered, or the amendment points that are numbered from 1 to 21, and then the Act has got the amendments that are numbered from 1 to 29. The other one is 1 to 21, and this one is 1 to 29. Right? So without even looking at the particular clauses that have been tied, I want to look at the numbering from 1 to 21 and 1 to 29.
No. The Constitution does not allow you to do that.
So does this speak to something?
No, Uncle Jade. The Constitution does not allow you to do that.
To do what?
To do what you are doing, what you are saying. Because if you start to do that, you become unconstitutional as well.
No, this is no, guys. Mirai, ningedota tadeno ningemsat mapinda. Andiji, the template, the original bill, it says kuti clause 1. The clause provides the short title of the bill. The Act has got 1 short title of the bill. And then it has got 2, establishes parliamentary method for selecting the president. New section inserted under 2 that speaks to a new section is inserted after section 43 in the speaking to a registration of voters, etc, amendment of section 92 speaking to the election of the president, but it's coming under 3. So I'm just trying on a layman point of view here.
Nai nyamashisha.
Mirai
ndakuvunza mvunzo muri papo. Mirai mkoma. Parliament ine mapawazi okuita sei. When it comes to panyaya dzemabills, I'm more interested about your question that you are raising, which is a very, very important. So my question to you is
to change laws, to make laws.
And how when the bill is gazetted, when they are debating the bills or the bill, pavanenge vachibvisa vanenge vakawana simba ripi rokubvisa zvinhu zvinenge zviri mubill nokuwedzera zviri mubill. Thank you very much. Ngatimboona mesa rogoisa.
Hakuti simba rubva kuvanhu. Is this what you're
ndati nini mukoma regai nditaura nechikaranga chakajeka. Parliament pamunoipa simba rokunodhibheta bill and then parliament yobvisa mitemo imwe yamunenge makaisa mugazetted bill kana kuti vowedzera vanenge vari wana simba rachona kupi rokuita izvozvo.
Mukoma Gerard, kana muri kundinzwa, I think tikatoenda ikoko takucomplicate process isiri complex. The question you are asking is kuti zvavaita izvizvi zvekuwedzera mamwe maclauses anga asipo zvinobvumirwa here? Yes, zvinobvumirwa.
right?
But not with this type of bill. Not with this type of bill. So you can go back to the police amendment bill right now that they haven't passed. You can see that they've done that countless times. They have not gone back to consult the people. There are a lot of bills that you can go to. I've written about them. They've done that. They've not restarted the consultative process. But you cannot go and try and batirira paPFIO, yet the fundamental has already been destroyed. The fundamental is that pane mutemo uripo uri clear. Mutemo uripo uri clear ndewekuti a change of this magnitude has to go through not one referendum but two referendums, which in referendums and the internal voting processes are not required 66% two, which makes the four processes that Zeti was calling the four locks. Those have been ignored and totally been pushed aside by what you and Ru were terming the notwithstanding clause. So Zeti is telling you that if you focus, let's say Jamutora Jajri illegal, of which as if it was a normal bill, as illegal. Consultative process. But let's assume that was illegal and they would right it's illegal. Let's take it to the Constitutional Court. You would not be able to make that argument because the fundamental has already been broken. The people have not respected the foundational law. The foundational law is that they should not have gotten to this process that they've gotten to. So kuzoda kuvabatirira technicality would not work because they already have broken a greater rule.
Right.
And now in the actual reality and not the explanation, the scenario that I created just to make the explanation as simple. In the actual reality, illegal, which is what Bashona was touching on. It is actually not illegal. You see, so that's not where the argument should be. The argument should be exactly on the foundation that Zetu was setting, which is what, for the longest time, I've been trying to tell people, Kuti. I think I put it as the watchman's torment. You are watching things that you know already the outcome. Number one, the first thing that was captured were your courts, and you agreed with my courts that are captured, which means with my courts, whichever way you go, interpret the constitutional court cannot because those two cases and it come drop, it might come to the courts a bit too early. Because the courts are captured, they will still vote in a way that supports the bill. They did that for bill number 1. Bill number 2 acceptwa. Court payakatoudza anonzani madhuku kuti dzokera nguva haisati yakwana. What they were doing is to put us back in the scenario of bill 1, which is to meet a fight retrospectively when it has become law.
Yes.
And the problem with it already being law is that the people become conditioned and accustomed to accepting it as law. Those are in this conversation. We are now already scenario planning on the basis of this being something that has already been accepted by the mass because it has been written by pen. So the first thing that you should have accepted is that the courts were captured. And you all articulated it clearly, which means the courts now, before, and in the future, as long as they remain captured, are not going to vote in your favor, but they're going to vote in the favor of the executive because they are no longer an independent arm of government, the third arm of government. They are simply an extension of the executive. Number 2, Makavamati legislature has been captured. What you're talking about is the capture of the legislation, which is the second arm of government. That arm is no longer also independent. It is just something that is now standing as an extension of the executive, waiting for a directive from the executive. It has been proven by open bribes that were done before the vote. It has been proven by the entire Chabangu debacle. You saw that. No one has to argue theory around those things. You know, the independence of these two institutions have been eroded. They are now compromised. Now, this are these two capture processes. You cannot then come to the bill and then say to the bill, what is happening with the bill, you need to correct it by going back to those institutions. You can't go back to parliament and ask parliament to say, 29 because it's not going to change a thing. Vanogona kungotora dzimwe 3 dziya dzavangodziwedzera pasi pe21 aya. You can't go to the courts and say preside over this thing because the court was already not presiding over zvamakavaudza. I've explained on countless occasions that the constitutional court. Constitutional court is there to interpret the word yandakataura inini Saturday, neyamakataura inini Sango Gerard, normalized over the 16 million people. Word iroro vanoriziya. Pamukuramba muchitotaura section kuti 328, vanoziya kuti 328 inoti, and vanoziva ndo zvakataura Tadini, achimirirwa naMudzoka. Vanoziva ndo zvaakataura, ndo zvakataura Tadini, achimirirwa naMorgan Tsvangirai. Ndo zvaakanyora muConstitution. But they are deliberately choosing, first, either not to comment on it, two, to pretend that they do not know how to interpret it correctly. So you no longer have any other recourse other than activating the power that ZET is calling God, which I always refer to as the power that creates sovereignty. Ndochega chinhu chinokwanisa kudecide izvezvi kuti whether we continue with the status quo that has been put up neZANU-PF or we revert back to what we are used to. Ndochega chinhu chinokwanisa kudecide. ZET is right when he's saying it's a power game. This is how it's a power game. You understand that I'm a scientist. Tinofarira makonzo. Makonzo tinogona kumaisa mu controlled environment. Tracer flag red pamberi pawo. So that flag kana riri kumberi kwenyu mukapfura flag you get an electric shock. So you don't go to the food. You do that 3 times, they follow the instruction. Makonzo anotanga kumhanya akangosvika ukaisa flag red anomira even chikafu achichiona. But panoita gonzo risina kutrainwa 3 times kana kuti rakwanisa kubreaka system rekuti ndikashingirira kugwina ndinonodya chikafu. Iroro rinokwanisa kuoverride marules rota take advantage of the complacency dzemamwe makonzo rodya kusvika rafuta. That's the same scenario we are here. Tiri kunzi pane marules akanyorwa pasi neimwe rule yawedzerwa. ZANU-PF is telling you that we have the ability to ignore the rules, and after ignoring the rules we can even add our second red flag. Ndogonzo rashingirira kupinwa rakumberi rakutoisawo flag yaro yered ratokanganwa kuti kuna scientist anofanira kunge achisasi flag iroro ndiro raakutoisa flag red rechi2 kuti ricontrole mamwe makonzo. All this tiri kuti take advantage of makonzo here. So the only thing that you can do in this scenario, you generate a power that is equivalent to what ZANU-PF has done. That's the only thing that you can do. ZANU-PF has told you that the rules can be written down and we can disregard them. The rule that is written down is 328. They do not care about it. Mukuramba muchiti notwithstanding, ndofunga chirungu chinoita sometimes tofunga kuti pane a serious doctrine or a serious technicality. Notwithstanding simply means kuti zvisinei nezvakanyorwa isusu toda kuita izvi. I think I've given a scenario yekuti zvafanira kundoenda kune clause inotaura about child marriages. Ndaona musikana mwana mudiki ane 15 years ndomira pamberi penyu vanhu vese ndoti nekuti inini ndiri of this position and I have this money and I have this power. So notwithstanding what the clause below says, I want to still be recognized and legally married to this 16 or 15-year-old. And I don't want you guys to call it what it is, statutory rape. I want you to call it a marriage. You see, this is exactly what is happening when you look at the notwithstanding. And the only response that ZANU-PF will be able to react to is what happens with that power that creates sovereignty. If I'm being honest with you, I'll tell you, Kuti, ZANU-PF through all the stages that you've been going, firstly through not the gazetting of the bill, but firstly through the rumors that it was sharing about the bills before it gazetted the bill, before it got out the draft. It was testing your mental. It was testing, Kuti, what are the people going to do? Mnangagwa 2030. Are they going to become accustomed to it? Are they going to react? We did not react. Then they put it out and they don't allow you to have consultations in a proper manner. Again, they're testing to see what you do. Because the consultations happened out in the open. Mukatoona zvigwimwe 3 zvichisumudzwa, mukatoona Dirk Court achirohwa, mukatoudzwa futi the Human Rights Commission yatorwa masimba. the new bill yatorwa masimba ayo kuti angove kaadvisory board ichakwanisa kutaura zvinonyanyooneka handiti ikatokuudzai kuti apa mabirirwa haisi board rekunze kwezimbabwe iboard rekuti munhu anogara pariri akaapointwa naMnangagwa ndobva adisappointwa futi naMnangagwa after ataura chokwadi about the consultative process vanga vachikuchekai futi kuti what are you going to do. That is the same thing when they went through the parliament, they were still checking your mentor. They said, you know that the parliament doesn't represent you because you know what we did with Chabango. You've seen us smiling all the way with Chabango to the bank. But what are you going to do? The same, now here they've added it to the constitution. And later added to the constitution. They're saying, we know what all those other forces say. You know it. Your lawyers have told you that we are wrong. But what are you going to do? So it becomes an issue of power. ZANU-PF, behind its disrespect of power, it has real disrespect of law. It has real power. It can actually move money. It can actually move people, new bodies on the ground to cause harm or to cause a certain reaction. It can do that. But it's testing you. Saka uchaitei iri kubvunza advocate Nelson Chamisa kuti makati mune chapwati toda kuchiona. Iri kubvunza tendai iti kuti you and your church guys gather together and say you are going to react to what the parliament has done. Show us the reaction. Hazvisisiri zvemutemo because hapana mutemo to talk about. There's no, if you understand zvandatsanangura ndichitaura about the captured process, hapana mutemo that you can talk about. There's no writing that you can point to. So ZANU, in this conversation, when I said we're normalizing, we're playing into the ZANU-PF field, is good. We're now arguing this as if it is law, which is why I liked a deposition, the presentation. It is not law. It's no longer about the structure because the structure is not there. It doesn't hold. It is about reminding each other where true power lies. And ZANU-PF is telling you that we are the true power. And because we have the true power, we also retain the right to self-determine. We retain the right to propagate our own tenures. Never mind the Anonzani mayor where Harare is messing up left and right, but we're going to extend his tenure because we say so. We have the power. Never mind Wakafira Masumeji recently, but we're going to have a cross-board extension of everyone's term because we say so, right? And if you don't agree with us saying so, we're going to activate power. We're going to activate force. That is what it is doing. It is challenging all of us that are in opposition, that have ever called ourselves opposers, that have ever called ourselves leaders, to say, where are you going to lead your people? Are you going to lead them into compliance or are you going to lead them into resistance? Mangwe SMA arguments that we can have